यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा सुभद्रमा जय सुदर्शन गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गोपाल देव जय गोपाल देव जय गोपाल देव प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रीपदा जय गुरुदेवा श्रीपाद जय गुरुदेवा जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद जय गुरु महाराज श्री श्रीपाद की जय जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय कलयुग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण. So we are continuing Bhagavatam Seva. Today we are reading from 6th canto, 18th chapter, Prescribed Duties for Mankind, verse number 48 and 49. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. Verse number 48. Napsu snayana kupyeta न संभाषेत दुर्जनैः न वसिताधौतवासः स्रजं न विधृतां क्वचित् नाप्सु स्नायान्न कुप्येत न संभाषेत दुर्जनैः न वसिताधौतवासः स्रजं च विधृतां क्वचित्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Kashyap Muni continued, "My dear gentle wife, never enter the water while bathing, never be angry, and do not even speak or associate with wicked people. Never wear clothes that have not been properly washed, and do not put on a garland that has been already worn." Text number 49. No chishtam chandikanam cha samisham vrishalahritam bunjitodakayaya drisham pibennanjalina tvapaha. No chishtam chandikanam cha samisham vrishalahritam bunjito dakyaya drisham Unjito dakyaya drisham piben nanjalina tvapaha. Translation: Never eat leftover food, never eat prasadam offered to the goddess Kali, Durga, and do not eat anything contaminated by flesh or fish. Do not eat anything brought or touched by a Shudra, nor anything seen by a woman in a menstrual period. Do not drink water by joining your palms. Purport by Prabhupada. Generally, the goddess Kali is offered food containing meat and fish. And therefore, Kashyap Muni strictly forbade his wife to take the remnants of such food. Actually, a Vaishnava is not allowed to take any food offerings to the demigods. Food offered to the demigods. A Vaishnava is always fixed in accepting prasadam offered to Lord Vishnu. Through all these instructions, Kashyap Muni, in a negative way, instructed his wife Diti how to become a Vaishnavi. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swaminiti Namine. Namah Sadbhaktamanaye Manipurudhavaya cha Prabhupada Satvani Prachara Niratayate. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Vancha Kalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamana Tam Namami Harim Param. Sansara Sagare Magnam Deenam Mam Karunanidhe Karmagrahya grihitangam mamuddhara bhavarnavat Srimad Bhagavatam Akyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi Svikritosi Mayanata Mukhyartam Bhavasagare. So these are the two verses where after our Diti Mataji is pleasing Kashyap Muni, her husband, with very nice, sweet words and, very carefully attending. And Kashyap Muni is very pleased and he's offering her a boon. And then she's saying, I want, one son who will kill Indra. So Kashyap Muni is in a dilemma and he's lamenting, what did I do? Why did I promise to give her this thing? But because he is a devotee of the Lord, and because he is quite intelligent, so, rather than directly refusing and saying, no, no, this is not possible, I will not tell you that. He instead, in a roundabout way, in a negative way, he's bringing her to the proper platform, the Vaishnava platform. So this, every human being, actually, he must advance in spiritual life. This is a goal of getting a human form. And then at the end, after practicing this devotional life, a spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, one must return home back to God. This is why the human form, and specifically this intelligence, the greater intelligence in human form when compared to the other species, this is being offered. But unless one's mind is purified, when one's mind is fully purified, there is no question that somebody can get out from this material existence. There is no question at all. It's not possible. So this purification of the heart, purification of the mind or consciousness, this is a prime concern. The Bhagavatam in the first canto, 7th chapter, it is saying, Anartopasamam sakshat bhakti yogam hadokshad lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata sammita. That this material miseries the living entity is facing, they are all superfluous actually. That living entity, he doesn't need to face all these problems. Whatever Kashyap Muni is facing, whatever Diti is facing, or whatever in the future Indra is going to face. All these problems, he said, they can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. Bhakti Yogam Adokshat. All these anarthas, unwanted things that one has to deal with in family life or any life, whether one is a man or woman, whatever be one's position or varna or ashrama, whatever problems we are facing in life, all this, they are all superfluous. It has nothing to do with the soul, actually, with the spirit. But mass of people, everybody, many of them, most of them, 99.99% of them, they do not know this. And therefore, lokasya ajanato. Ajanato means agyan. Out of ignorance, many people, they don't know the simple thing that if I do devotion to the Lord, I can solve all these problems. Any kind of problem. Whether it is A, B, C, X, Y, or Z, any problem. Simply, this, you need to become Krishna conscious. So that's why he said Chakre Satvata Samhita, that very learned Vyasdev, he is Vidwan, he compiled this Bhagavatam. And the speciality of the Bhagavatam is that it is in direct relation with the Supreme Truth, the Supreme Absolute Truth, with Lord Krishna. So we think we have all these kind of relationship in the material world, but none of them are direct relationships. The only direct relationship we have is with the Supreme Personality of God. All the other relationships are indirect. With Krishna as the center, we belong to Krishna. With Krishna as the center, with this direct relationship, we can form so many other relationships. Otherwise, we don't belong to anybody. There is no question of a relationship when everything is temporary. But people, they forget that, and they strive so hard to maintain that that temporary relationship. It's and this is after understanding this from practical experience, that all these kind of relationships is going to be dominated. Still they cling on to that. It's pretty nauseating actually, this kind of human beings, that thought process is very kind of little difficult to understand. But people, they find some security and safety with people who they know, but there is one unknown God somewhere out there, how can I develop that kind of relationship? Although that relationship is very direct. This is a general question that comes to the mind. But when one is executing devotional service under a bona fide spiritual master in a proper parampara, then you see that thing which is not there, that taste in these kind of relationship, this higher taste which is not there, this will come. This will automatically come. Just a question of time. So Kashyap Muni, being very intelligent, is prescribing the process, how she can purify her mind, and then how gradually, she will come to understand that what I'm doing is wrong. If somebody is coming with a proposal and immediately you say no, they become upset. They go against you. It becomes like that. There's already immediately there is a clash. I say yes, you say no, immediately there is a clash. So, in order to maintain a very peaceful family affair, as well as to give her a chance to, improve and purify her mind, her consciousness, Kashyap Muni is doing this. So, he is very intelligent. Devotees are daksha, actually. They are very expert in all these kind of things. So, the process he is saying is that, he's saying, what is the first one? Yeah. He's saying, my gentle wife, never enter the water while bathing. So generally, you take bath in the river or streams. They don't have taps and water supply. They're coming from a water tank or something there. This is during the ancient times. So they take water from the well, or generally they go out to a river to bathe. But he is saying you don't go, never enter the water while bathing. This is the first instruction. He is saying never be angry. This anger is such a horrible thing that, even for a few minutes, you become really angry, like really furious. The whole face goes red, your BP shoots up, and then you just, it's like fight or flight, this kind of thing, you come to that kind of position. He said, simply by becoming angry like this, a person, he loses like 12 years of solid tapasya. Whatever pious credit you have achieved by doing rigorous tapasya for 12 years, in just a few minutes, you become completely angry. You let these modes of passion and ignorance you grab hold of you. You immediately lose all these pious credits for so much. So, becoming angry is a big no-no. Never become angry. No. If you're about to become angry, Guru Maharaj used to say, you keep silent, you walk away from that place. And you remember all the nice things, like Krishna, 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 always you try to remember the Lord. The Guru Maharaj used to maintain this very dignified silence. There was so much problems and, so many things going on. I've seen a few meetings in Manipur, the devotees were all fighting. Practically, it was the temple opening time, and it was a very horrible situation there, actually. But Guru Maharaj, he put his head down, his whole face was red, but he kept quiet. He was just, maintaining that silence. So this thing, becoming angry, it will spoil the whole, devotional life process. There's no point. It's like holding a burning coal in your hand. If you're angry, it's like you burn yourself. Or if you throw it on somebody else, you dump it on somebody else, like a garbage truck, then that person becomes hurt. So this thing, becoming angry is again not. It's not recommended. Even somebody is in the mode of goodness, it's very difficult to understand the Supreme Personality of God. Now, what to speak about people who are in lower modes, Rajagun and Tamagun, they cannot even imagine the Supreme Lord. So that's completely out of question. And unless you bring the Lord into your life, into your heart, into your mind and consciousness, there is no chance you can purify yourself and get out of this material existence. There is no chance. Yeah, one should be very, very clear on this point. This is the only way. There is no other way. One should be very, very clear. Then he's saying, do not even speak or associate with wicked people. We say dushtan, dushta means a wicked person. Dushtana kandal dura velaga. As soon as you see a bad person, you just, go away from that. Sometimes even merely seeing them will put all these nonsense ideas into your head. Now, what to speak about if you're talking to them or associating with them? That's why everybody, it's not just the Shastras, everybody says this, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. Your mother and father, they don't tell you, you go associate with bad people. They say you be with good people, have good friends. Your teachers will say the same thing, go to the good students and you associate with them. And spiritual life also, it is the same. You associate with good devotees, somebody who is really serious in spiritual life. This is that. Don't associate or speak with wicked people. And then he's saying, never wear clothes that have not been properly washed. It's a simple, basic cleanliness point. One is wearing unclean clothes, that clothes also, they carry some kind of consciousness with them. You don't feel nice if you're wearing some dirty, smelly clothes, full of sweat and grime, or things like. So don't wear such kind of impure clothes. And he's saying, do not put on a garland that has already been worn. This is another point also. You offer the deities, you can take that prasadam mala. That is purifying. But if you're wearing the garland worn by somebody else, again, this kind of, sometimes that consciousness of the person comes to you. When you're using somebody's items, that kind of consciousness comes to you. It's very important principle. Generally, if you're accepting some cloth or something from, whether senior Vaishnava, advanced Vaishnava, that is good. That is good. But otherwise, generally, our clothes and other things, it's better to dispose of by burning or by, disposing under the earth or throwing away in a river or something like that. Otherwise, anybody who uses that may pick up our consciousness. It's the same thing on the reverse side. If we use somebody who's lower grade like that in consciousness, and if we wear their clothes or their garlands or something like that, we also pick up that consciousness. Everything, everything is conscious actually, but the degree may vary. And, to the extent that somebody is putting their consciousness on that thing, to that extent, we will also be affected by that, So one has to be very careful in these things. Then he is saying, no chishtam chandika annam cha. Uchishta. Uchishta means the remnants. After eating, the remnants is called uchishta. And this is Chandika. Chandika is Devi Durga, one of the names. Chandi, Mahakali, Chandi, Durga, like that. Bhairavi. There are different forms of Mother Durga, material energy. And this Chandi form is a very Ugra form actually, with all these different weapons. Many hands holding different weapons and tongue out and, very terrifying form. And Kashyapuni is saying you don't eat whatever is offered to her. And generally, Kali Mata, you see, Chandika Devi or Kali Mata, she, in that Ugra form, she's chopping off the heads of all the demons, people who are very materialistic and who are completely against Krishna consciousness. She goes and she kills these demons, and then she's holding all the heads and with the weapons in her hand. And, she drinks the blood of these people like that. She's so very happy like that. Kali Devi, they depict her like that. And all our associates, witches and goblins, they also enjoy playing with those, cut off heads and drinking the blood of these people. So this kind of non-veg items like flesh and fish and madira, drinks, all these are offered to Goddess Kali. People think actually she's very happy with that. But, Devi is as much satisfied if you just offer a red flower. If you offer with full faith and intention, if you simply offer a red flower, the Devi is pleased. But people, they generally think, and the whole idea of this demigod worship is simply to satisfy their own interest. They have a desire, and to fulfill that, they use the demigod or demigoddess here. In this case, Kali. So Kashyap Muni is warning, no, you don't take all this. And there are so many things, one can say about this non-veg diet. They say, Ahara Shuddhi, Deha Shuddhi. Then Deha Shuddhi, then it is Mana Shuddhi, and then Mana Shuddhi, then Sattva Shuddhi, and then one comes to the spiritual platform. It's a long process. And the whole thing starts with a diet, Ahara. That's why Prabhupada always used to say, you take only Krishna Prasadam. You're aspiring to be a devotee, you control the tongue. Jibba adho. Otherwise, Krishna will always remain away from you. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indrai sevon mukhe jivvado swayam eva sprutat. So you want Krishna to automatically manifest, then you begin by controlling your tongue, giving your tongue only Krishna Prasadam, and then Namadi, always chanting the holy names. As far as possible, we try to speak about Krishna, the Bhagavatam, the devotees of the Lord. We remain in pure consciousness. The more one eats things outside, and the more one indulges in talking about anything unrelated to the Supreme Lord, the more one gets entangled in material life. It's a very risky thing. It's very, very risky thing. And the consequence of that is that again we have to take a birth. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, and we have to undergo all these problems. Same thing. Janma mrityu jara. So he's saying you don't take the meat and thing. So this basic point one must understand that when we eat all these dead animals, it's like I used to give this example when I'm preaching to the public that this body is such a nice place. Why do you want to make it a graveyard for chicken? For mutton, for all these unnecessary things. Why do you want to put dead chicken inside? Why do you want to put dead goats inside? And why do you want to do this? And then I used to scare them. If you're putting all these dead animals, you make your body a graveyard, it becomes very impure, and all these ghosts will come and haunt you. So it's not a healthy thing. Your consciousness becomes, like ghostly haunted. And practically anybody who is in Maya is that he behaves like that. He behaves like he is ghostly haunted. It's not normal behavior what we are doing when we are fully engrossed in Maya, material consciousness. So, and then then there's a scientific aspect also, that if one is eating all these meat and other things, you see the human body, the digestive tract is quite long. It's nearly like 7 or 8 times your length. So if I'm 6 feet, it should be about like 16 feet or something. That much big I have intestines inside. The food doesn't just come out like that immediately. It gets digested, it goes through this long process in the intestine, and then it is passed away as waste. So when you eat meat and other things, it has to remain in the body for quite some time. And it is not that we call this aerobic and anaerobic, that there is no oxygen there inside the stomach like that. Whatever you get from the blood through breathing, that is what is there. But otherwise, the conditions inside the intestine is that there is no air there. So you can imagine, if you're going to put some, dead piece of flesh in a place where there is no air and there is already bacteria and other living thing, the whole thing putrefies. It produces so much, very obnoxious toxic compounds. And you imagine that sitting inside your stomach for so many days. See, when animals or other beings, they eat flesh, their intestines are designed like that, there is so much acid. This acid completely digests all that meat and bone and flesh. And also the intestines are very small. So immediately that thing is evacuated very fast. And you see, the smell is horrible actually. If you eat fish, egg or something, when you pass, it's unbearable smell actually. So why we should dump, all these unnecessary things in our body, and why we should suffer? Simply because somewhere somebody was eating a bat, right? You see, now the whole world is suffering by a pandemic. They were eating a lot of beef in UK, and then the cows, they started developing this encephalitis. It's a brain disease. So somebody who eats that beef, they become mad. Then there is chicken, and from chicken again there are so many diseases. So these dead bodies, generally they serve as a source of disease. So that's why he's saying you don't take. But the main point is that a devotee, he accepts only prasadam that is offered to Krishna. And Krishna wants these things. Patram pushpam palam toyam. He is not recommending you give me fish, you give me meat, you give me eggs. No. So this is the whole point. Don't accept anything which is offered to demigods. This is a Vaishnava principle. And then he's saying, do not eat anything brought or touched by a Shudra, or anything seen by a woman in a menstrual period. So Shudra means this person, generally, they don't have brain of their own. They have to be constantly supervised and guided. So unless they are supervised or guided by the higher varnas, these people, they do anything and everything, very unclean in habits and all that. So when people like that, they come and they touch a food, they contaminate that actually. So you don't eat that, he's advising. And then he's saying, or anything seen by a woman in a menstrual period. Because, when ladies, they menstruate, they have this monthly problem. It's because of a particular sin that Indra has shared with them for killing a demon. As Brahma Hatya that Indra did, he split that into 4 different varieties, and one of them, 1/4 was given. That effects of the sinful action was given to women actually, and because of that, women, they have this bleeding going on, and Indra blessed them, saying that because you have taken 1/4 of my sin, I will allow you to enjoy unlimited. So ladies have this propensity actually that they want to enjoy. Expanding. Sri means to expand. They want to enjoy so much. So this blessing is at Indra, but it is because of the sin. And in order to avoid that sinful contamination coming on to us, Kashyapuni is one, advising Diti Mata that you don't do that. She's a woman, she knows it herself, but he's specifically again repeating that. And then he's saying, do not drink water by joining your palms. The left hand, it is usually used for, what, for cleaning after you go to the washroom. So this hand is considered impure generally. Anything you do with the right hand. And specifically when you're worshipping the deities also, if you have to hold with the left hand, you use a cloth or something to cover it, and you don't hold the deity directly, you hold the base of the deity. This is the system we are taught in mode of worship. And you use the right hand for doing all the other things, because this left hand is considered impure. So that's why when you join your palms and you're using both, like Anjali, he said, what is that? Na Anjali tu apa. Anjali means, you join your palms and you offer Anjali like that, right? Pushpanjali or, Seva Anjali, whatever you're doing, you join like this. This left hand contaminates the whole thing. So Kashyapani is saying, don't join and drink water, means your water becomes little contaminated. So these things are there. These like, it looks like very basic principles. And why is the Bhagavatam talking about all this? This question comes to mind. Just a second. Something is burning in the stove. I'll just go turn it. So this question comes: why is the Bhagavatam talking about all these basic principles? And this question comes to mind. And see, to reach God, to achieve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to achieve the Supreme Personality, there are 2 ways. One is called the Pancharatrika Vidhi, or the Vaidhi Bhakti Vidhi, which was propounded. Actually, it was given in 5 nights, Pancharatri, 5 nights. It was given by the Lord to Lord Brahma, by the Supreme Lord to Lord Brahma. And then Brahma gave it to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni is the one, it is called Narada Pancharatra, because he was the one who gifted it to mankind. So there are different procedures in that. And if one follows all these proper purificatory procedures, the consciousness becomes little purified. So this is one process, the Pancharatra Vidhi. But the Bhagavatam is mostly dealing with the Bhagavata Vidhi. Bhagavata Vidhi means these 9 processes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So this is called Raga Marga, or when one has already developed to a higher level, like the people in Vrindavan, those who are naturally, they have this kind of affection or raga or attraction towards the Supreme Lord. For them, all these rules are not required. I remember when I was in Vrindavan, Radhakund, somebody was telling this pastime. I couldn't even believe my ears actually. They were talking about this deity that Advaita Acharya he found. And this deity, actually, he was in Mathura with some Mathura businessman, and the kids were all playing with that deity, actually. And the lady in the house, this person was saying a story like that. It's totally unbelievable. That lady, she used to use a big datun, this neem stick or something for brushing her teeth. And she was using the opposite end of that to stir, whatever she was to offer the Lord. And these kids were all playing with that Lord like that, as one of his playmates. And when Sanatan Goswami came and saw this, he was completely shocked. And then he said, "How can you treat the Lord like this?" And he became very upset and he left and he went. And then that day night, the Lord came in the dream of Sanatan Goswami and told him, I was enjoying my life here. Why did you come and create all these problems for me? These people, they didn't treat me as a Lord. They treated me as their own child. Why did you come and cause all these problems? And in the same night, the Lord went there to that Mathura Vasi and he told him, this is a Goswami and, you better give me to him. I want his love and affection. I'm quite satisfied with you. You please give me to him. So Sanatan Goswami, next day he came running and he was apologizing. I'm so sorry. I did this. But then the Mathura Vasi was saying, Baba, you please take, Gopal wants to come with you. And then see, Sanatan Goswami is saying, I cannot feed you properly. I'm just a beggar. I'm wandering here and there doing little madhukari. How can I feed you? And then he said, it's all right. Whatever you can give me, I will accept. So you see, sometimes, the people who are in Ragamar, the kind of behavior they do, it is not according to the prescribed process. But when one is not elevated to that position of natural attraction to the Lord, we shouldn't imitate that. So for Kali Yuga people, this Pancharatra process, this Vidhima, getting early in the morning, taking a bath, brushing teeth, and then doing achaman and then doing deity worship, all this is recommended. But once one has developed that ruchi or the raga or taste automatically, then this is not required. These basic principles are not required. Madhvacharya, there is a very nice sloka. He's saying, oh, Bhadrambha, oh, regulative principles, Bhadram, all auspiciousness to you. Oh, Vedas, all glories to you. So many things he says. And then, I'm sorry, I cannot do all these things. And, I'm simply satisfied by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So you please forgive me. So this is a very advanced position, one should not imitate. So for us, we follow the Pancharatra, and then, see, Prabhupada has made the system where we're getting both, actually. The Pancharatra is also there, plus this Bhagavad Vidhi, this preaching and this Shravanam Kirtanam, both are going on simultaneously. So because of that, we have the added advantage of both the systems. But here, what Kashyap Muni is prescribing to Diti Mata is actually the Pancharatra Vidhi, the basic system. You follow all these rules and regulations, you become internally and externally pure. For 1 year you do that, and then we will think about having a son who can kill Indra. But if you break this rule, then your son will become favorable to Indra. So you remember this. So conditional, like that. But when you're doing devotion, pure devotion, it is a hahituki. There is no real conditions there. Apratihata. There is no real stoppage there. It naturally flows. Kunti Mata is saying Gangai Vogam Udanvati, like the Ganges flowing automatically to the river, to the ocean. This river is flowing to the ocean. Like that, your heart automatically goes to Krishna. So all these rules and regulations, they become redundant. And even if these so-called advanced devotees are following the rules and regulations, it's simply not to disturb the neophytes. So that these Kanishas, they don't see this and get disturbed. Hey, Prabhupada, I'll stop with this one small thing. Prabhupada was giving a class, and then all of a sudden this microphone went down, like my wire is going down. So Prabhupada was looking at this devotee sitting next. He said, you give me a Brahmin thread. Give me your Genevieve, your sacred thread. And he took that and he immediately tied that microphone and then he started speaking. It's so sacred. And then Prabhupada used it like that. So naturally, we cannot do these things, imitate, because there is something broken, and then we take a Genevieve and immediately you tie it. So when devotees are on a higher platform, they do these kind of things, that we should not imitate. We should always remember our position, and by the gradual process of purification, by listening to authorities, we should come to the platform of Krishna consciousness. So, just one more thing: the father, the husband, and the ruler of the thing, the state, the king. These three people are natural gurus, actually. The father, the husband, and the ruler. And that's why the Bhagavatam is saying, I'll just wind up with this verse, is saying, in the 5th canto, Rishabdev is advising, Guru na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyan, na patisya sasyan, na mochayedya samapetya mrityam. No, don't become a guru, don't become a swajan, a relative, don't become a father, a mother, a daivam, even a demigod or worshipable god. And finally, patisya sasyan, don't become a husband. If you're not able to deliver your dependents, those who are taking shelter of you, if you're not able to deliver them from samapetya mrityam, this fast approaching death, this repeated birth and death, you cannot do this. Don't take up this kind of responsibility. Rishabdev is advising. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your patient listening. Are there any questions? Any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you for this nice class. Yeah, if anyone is having any question regarding today's class, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Madan Manohar Prabhuji. Yes, Balramji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, and Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very nice class. I have about the prasadam.
Yeah.
The Vaishnavas, they take, let's say, Krishna prasadam, but the other people, those who are worshipping demigods, they take the prasada of those demigods.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as you said, there should be no exchange, yeah? Or, I mean, normally they don't take Krishna prasadam, and Vaishnavas, they don't take other. But what about, let's say, the prasadam taken by, let's say, Shiva, afterwards, we take that prasada. So let's say, first the Krishna prasadam that is offered to Shiva, and then can we take that in this way?
Yeah, see, that's why there is prasadam and there's mahaprasadam. You've heard this word, mahaprasade govinde, right? Before devotees say, they say this mahaprasadam. When the Lord has taken, it becomes prasad. Prasad means mercy. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopajayate. Prasanna chetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishtate. Saying, simply by taking prasadam, this sarva dukkhanam, all your problems will be solved, and then, your mind becomes purified. But mahaprasadam means, when whatever the Lord has honored, another senior Vaishnava or Guru or the Parampara, they have honored, and then it comes, it is called mahaprasadam, like that, mahaprasadam. So, if whatever prasadam is offered to the Lord Shivji takes, it becomes mahaprasadam. That you can accept. But not something which is directly offered only to Shivji. Then it is demigod prasadam, and that prasadam, Vaishnavas, they don't take, devotees, they don't take, because the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is very clear. Yanti deva vratan, you go, if you're worshipping the demigods, you go to the demigod planet. So you'll go to Shivlok, you'll go to Kailai, and you'll be there, if you're going to continue like that. But if you want to go yadgatva na nivartante, where you go, you don't have to return back. If you want to go to such a place, then you have to only take Krishna prasadam. That is what is advised.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, Neelambra Maharaj, please.
Dandavat Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Jai Jagannath.
जगन्नाथ महाराज जी, आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण महाराज, हरे कृष्ण। आवाज ब्रेक हो रहा है महाराज।
तो मेरा प्रश्न एक मिनट।
ठीक है महाराज जी, तब तक हम दूसरा प्रश्न ले लेंगे। नील माधव प्रभु जी प्लीज।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, धन्यवाद।
हरे कृष्ण नील माधव।
So I just want to ask, like in this sloka, it is mentioned prasadam is touched by Sudras or seen by
Yeah.
many menstrual cycle. So it will get uncontaminated. So how actually this section of people will get nice prasadam? Like if they themselves are problem, then how they will get nice prasadam?
Okay. You are asking how if a Shudra is offering to the Lord, how he can take that prasadam. Is that what you are trying to ask?
I'm asking like for prasadam there is no distinction. Like so for prasadam, so how Sudras will get pure prasadam?
Okay.
And
No.
how women in
Here, he's not talking about prasadam. Kashyap Muni is talking about boga, unoffered food. If unoffered food is looked on by a Shudra or touched by a Shudra, or it is even glanced by a woman in a menstrual period, that boga becomes unofferable to the Lord. Prasadam is always pure. Anybody can take it. In Puri, it is like that. Even prasadam falls from the mouth of a dog, you can take it. But we are talking about boga, food before being offered to the Lord. It should be offered in a pure state. It shouldn't be seen by a lady in a periods or, touched by a Shudra or even looked upon by a dog. If a dog or other lower animals, they see that, they look at the food and they start drooling, they think about eating that food. So immediately that food, the consciousness that it becomes contaminated. So whatever generally is offered, they cover it and they bring. You should remember this. And it is offered by people who are not meditating on eating and enjoying their food. Rather, the people, those devotees who offer, they are meditating that the Lord is eating and enjoying that food. In that kind of consciousness, one has to cook. Otherwise, Krishna will not accept that. Why should the Lord accept this thing? You're already, you're meditating on eating that food, you're cooking it for your gratification. And if you go offer it to the Lord, the Lord will not accept such food. We don't have that kind of pure love, and these people specifically, mentioned here, like the Shudras and thing, as soon as they see that food, they want to enjoy, and they look at it with that intention. And immediately it becomes contaminated. Because one person has already enjoyed it in a subtle way. Krishna is very, very subtle. Spiritual things means very, very subtle. So as soon as you look, you put your mind and you enjoy that stuff, it cannot be offered anymore. It becomes contaminated. You got it? We are talking about boga, not prasadam. Prasadam is always pure. Prasadam, there is no doubt. Is it okay, Neil Madhav?
no. I got one more question in the process. Like
Yeah.
so in like especially in Grihastha Mataji is only cook. So if you tell they can't offer, like understand the point,
See,
right? So they only cook
during the 5 days when they have their particular phase when they are menstruating, at that time they don't cook. They are not supposed to cook. If they cook, it is contaminated. You are partaking sin. Bunjate te agam papa. You're just eating sin. That's all. Indra's sin has been transferred to Mataji, and Mataji's sin is being transferred to you. That's all. Those 5 days, they are not supposed to do any activities. Generally, even in the temple, they are forbidden to go, because they see somebody or they touch somebody, immediately that person becomes contaminated. But Prabhupada was kind, like for the Westerners, sometimes he allowed, because the higher principle is to serve the Lord. So if there is nobody else and there is only a Mataji, the service to the Lord should not be stopped. So he allowed it, But these are all exceptions. But for us, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be very, very careful. We cannot digest those sins. You try to understand that. When we particularly partake that kind of food, our consciousness, it becomes immediately contaminated. One has to be very, very careful. Now, what to speak about, a lady who's in a period, Even normal ladies taking seva, we develop that kind of consciousness, so somebody who is pursuing spiritual life, he has to be very, very careful like that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, sorry. Hare Krishna, Mataji. We are
Krishna?
not able to hear. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
जा रहे हैं कि जो हम लोग साधना भक्ति प्रैक्टिस कर अपने उन लोगों का झूठा कभी हम मतलब शेयर करते हैं, इससे उसमें से हम लोग सोचते हैं कि इतना वो भी इतना प्योरीफाइड नहीं है, हम भी नहीं है, उसका खा सकता है और ये उसका खाने से कुछ प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होगा। और दूसरा ये है कि थोड़ा हमसे जो सीनियर होता है उनका जो प्रसादम है उनका खा सकते हैं, और दूसरे है वो प्योर डिवोटी जो है उनका मतलब जो उचिष्ट जो है वो कितना मतलब उसका थोड़ा एक्शन होता है, उसका भी बारे में मैं सुनना चाहती हूँ।
देखिए, इसमें कुछ कुछ चीज है, आप पहले समझना चाहिए। एक चीज जो है, कोई एडवांस डिवोटी, कोई शुद्ध भक्त जो भी है, वो अपने आप को ऐसा नहीं सोचता है। तो इसीलिए वो अगर आप मांगेंगे प्रभु जी आपका थोड़ा महाप्रसादम, आपका उच्चिष्ट मुझे दीजिए, तो वो लोग मना कर देंगे। कोई इतना जल्दी आपको नहीं देगा, एक तो बात है। और दूसरी बात है, कुछ भी है हम लोग को परमिशन लेना पड़ता है वो लोग से। मैं आपका ले सकता हूँ क्या? परमिशन लेके लेने से ठीक है, परमिशन के बगैर जोर जबरदस्ती करने से वो लोग नाराज हो जाते हैं और रिएक्शन उल्टा हो जाता है। और जब घर की बात होता है, घर में आपस में जैसे माँ बच्चा कभी कभी झूठा आपस में शेयर कर लेता है, वो तो अलग बात है। लेकिन जब डिवोशनल लाइफ में आ जाता है, जनरली किसी का हम लोग दूसरे का झूठा हम लोग नहीं खाते हैं, उसको उचिष्ट बोलो जो भी बोलो। अगर कोई एडवांस डिवोटी है, गुरुजी है, वो तो हम लोग मांग के ले सकता है, गुरु का आज्ञा हो तो। वो सीनियर डिवोटी का अगर परमिशन है तो तब ले सकता है, ये सब एटिकेट होता है। लेकिन अगर आपको वो मर्सी मिल जाता है, मतलब वो लोग अलाउ कर देता है, आप देखिए उतना छोटा सा वो उच्चिष्ट खाने से ही हम लोग का दिमाग इतना परिवर्तन हो जाता है, आपको पता चल जाएगा सब। पहले हम लोग ऐसा डिवोटी लोग का उच्चिष्ट खाने से पहले जैसे हमारा माइंड काम करता है ना, जो चेतना होता है, और वो उच्चिष्ट वो लोग का परमिशन से हम लोग सेवन करने से हम लोग का माइंड अभी कैसे काम कर रहा है, आपको पूरा उसका फर्क आपको पता चल जाता है। भक्ति भगवान का नाम लेने से ही आपको पता चल जाएगा कितना हमारा चेतना फर्क हो रहा है। और ये उच्चिष्ट और भक्तों का जैसे पाद धोता है ना, हम लोग जो चरणामृत बोलता है, वो सब सीनियर वैष्णव लोग का सिर पे लेने से या मुंह पे लेने से आपको पता चल जाएगा। प्रहलाद महाराज यहाँ तक बता रहा है कि खुद हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे या कोई और आपको उपदेश दे के आपको कोशिश करवाएंगे, ये दोनों चीज से भक्ति नहीं होता है, बता रहा है। कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस जो है, मतलब कृष्ण भावना जो है, वो प्रकट नहीं होता है बिना महत पद रजोभिषेकम। तो कोई ऐसा बहुत एडवांस एक शुद्ध भक्त का पद का अभिषेक है ना, रज धूली, मतलब पादों में जो धूली है, उससे जब तक हम लोग अपने आप को अभिषेक नहीं करेंगे, जब तक हम लोग वो नहीं करता है, तब तक हम लोग को खुद का मेहनत से भी या किसी दूसरे का उपदेश से भी हम लोग भक्त नहीं बनते, नहीं होगा, संभव नहीं है। तो कोई महत कृपा मिला है तब जाके आप डिवोटी बन के आप ये सब सवाल कर रहे हैं। तो इसलिए आप कोशिश करते रहिए कोई डिवोटीज का प्रसाद मिल जाए, उच्चिष्ट मिल जाए, लेकिन परमिशन लेके लीजिए, बस यही बात है। वो एटिकेट है ना, ऐसा एक वैष्णव का एक बिहेवियर होता है, तो ऐसे भी एक वैष्णवी का एक बिहेवियर होता है, वो लोग से मांग के आप आराम से ले सकते, कोई दिक्कत। थैंक यू मंत्री।
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. There is a question in the chat.
Yeah.
So, do demigods really accept the boga offered to them directly?
If I'm going to give you something nice, will you not take it from me? They do accept, but those even among the demigods, not all of them are pure devotees. They are devotees, no doubt, because they are engaged in the service of the Lord. but not all of them are pure devotees. So this risk is there. So you have to know whether it is a pure devotee. Like our Brahmaji is a pure devotee, but not all Brahmajis are pure devotees. A Brahmaji within this universe is a pure devotee, but not all the other Brahmajis are pure devotees. So one should be very cautious like that. And the demigods, they do accept. Somebody is offering something with love, Krishna is taking. Why those demigods will not take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead, Maharaji, please.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Saturday standard for you. So many wonderful information. My questions regarding this. In the beginning, you said that about the direct. Only with Krishna one can have direct connection. But Krishna is Adhokshaja of the three modes. In the conditioned state, the direct contact with Krishna is always impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, Maharaj.
Under the influence of the three modes, there is no bhakti. And without bhakti, no direct connection with Krishna, the Swayam Rupa.
Possible.
But with his manifestation is Kripalu Purusha, the sadhu, the Sri Guru only, the direct connection of a person even in the conditional state is possible. Because if Krishna would provide direct access to everybody, then will we consider that Krishna's causeless mercy.
Yeah.
But causeless mercy is like Bhagavatam only of sadhu. If Krishna causelessly did kripa, there would be nothing left for sadhu to do. Krishna would do just, as we understand, Krishna is situated in his own realm, so nothing of this material world, so dukh sukh of this material doesn't touch him. But so Krishna is not influenced, or rather the word is not overwhelmed by the miseries of this conditioned souls. But the sadhu is, and when sadhu prays, and then Krishna becomes obliged to bestow the mercy. So could you comment on something that direct connection with Krishna is not possible by the living? Bhakta Kripa first, connection to Bhakta or Sadhu first, then later. Then I have 2-3 comments. If time allowed, I will share. Could you address this question?
So what Maharaj is saying is correct, because in a conditioned state, we don't have direct access. So Krishna comes in the form of a guru, Sakshat Hari, Samasta Shastra. All the Shastras, they say that the guru is a direct manifestation of the Supreme Lord. The Paramatma comes to us in the form of the guru. So, and this guru is also like a via, transparent via medium to actually see Krishna. Prabhupada used to give these glasses, like I can see without the glasses, but when I put the glasses on, I can see clearly now. So Guru is like the glass. This is what Prabhupada was saying. One of his disciples, they were glorifying Prabhupada for the 125th anniversary, and he was saying this point. Guru is like the glass. Actually, the Guru not only is a via medium where we can see the Lord directly, but he also, how do you say, we are like jumping monkeys, right? So the Guru, he makes it presentable. Even as a monkey, he makes us very presentable and say, Krishna, this monkey wants to jump for you. You please, you kindly take care of. Look at him. This is Guru's extra mercy. So Krishna doesn't come directly to present himself, because he is a supreme Lord. He's independent and he's all powerful. So he It is a guru who takes us to him. So in that sense, a guru is much more merciful than the Supreme Lord. That's why all the Shastra is saying, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. Instead of sadhu sangha, it could have said Krishna sangha, Krishna sangha. Krishna sangha, sarva shastra koi. It's not saying that. It is saying sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. Why? Because the sadhu is more merciful than Krishna, and the sadhu can hand over Krishna to you. So this point is, one should be very clear. Yeah, Maharaj. I also had a question, Maharaj. I wanted to ask you. This very first point there, they were saying that, don't enter into the, what is that? Never enter into the water while bathing. So I was thinking, like, usually people, they go into rivers to get purified. So they have to enter the water and take bath. So, why is Kashyap Muni saying this? I was thinking about that. It never made sense to me, because maybe contaminating the water or something like, or is it during a menstrual period that the Diti is not supposed to go into the water while bathing? Because usually people, they go into the river, they offer obeisances, they go into the river. And that's how they take bath. But he's saying you don't enter the water while bathing. So I had this doubt. Maharaj, can you throw some light on that?
Just don't enter the river while you are during the vow time, because so much. So these are the restrictions which are very austere, no? And so he's allowed. He's asking her not to enter the river. Just stay out and just take the austerity, take the water from the river or pond, and then bathe outside. Don't contaminate the river.
Oh, even the river. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. But with regard to this, the thing that one.
Your voice is breaking.
Can say that apparently one has direct access to Srimad Bhagavatam, direct inspiration from Krishna. When we saw 1,000 lectures of Srila Prabhupada and previous Bhagavad Gita and everything. But how is master? And that's why even the apparent direct connection with Krishna is also indirect mercy of Krishna. But when the spiritual master directs us, orders us, he activates, and that is considered direct mercy of Krishna. This is described by our acharyas. Just a quick points. You maybe mistook regarding Raga Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti, because Madhvacharya is the embodiment of Vaidhi Bhakti and Madhavendra Puri is the embodiment of Raga Bhakti.
Raga Bhakti.
Madhvacharya is the Guru of Guru. Okay.
Okay, I said Madhavendra Puri, or I said Madhvacharya, I said. Okay, Maharaj. Yeah.
Because you are very saying Madhvacharya, so sometimes they get mixed up.
Madhavendra Puri, okay.
In which two positions the scriptures, or we are not discouraged to take? Which two positions we are not discouraged to take? You quoted Patimna Sasyat, Guruna Sasyat, all these things. But which two positions we are supposed to take? This question. Then regarding Mahaprasad, Prasad and Mahaprasad. Mahaprasad is the food which is offered on the plate of the Lord directly, and the rest of it is called Prasadam. But when the devotee takes then it becomes Mahaprasad.
Mahaprasadam.
So the choice is which one you take, Prasad, Mahaprasad, or so that choice can be made. That's why we don't even so much directly take Mahaprasad before we offer it to our Sri Guru or the more advanced Vaishnavas, so that we can have special dose. And those who offer to Lord Shiva even Prasadam, why devotees don't take the Prasadam offer to the Demigods? I mean, so Boga offer to, because they think that Lord Shiva
Rajiv, we are not able to hear you properly.
the supreme, and that conscious cannot like it, but he cannot also deny demigods is the supreme what we will. So that's why to accept a prasadam only first offer to the Supreme Lord. So which are the two positions? One is not discouraged. This is a question to you. Which positions one is not discouraged to take? Which are essential rather. Even if one has by mistake taken many positions, he has become pati or he has become whatever, you know.
Yeah, Pita, Janani. I think Guru and Daivam are, you can be exempt, Maharaj, because Guru also, he goes out of his way to save somebody. So
my
that position.
My question, other way around. Which two positions one is not discouraged to take?
Means one is encouraged to take.
Yes.
Okay. So I think Guru's position is encourageable, Maharaj.
No, Guru ne sasya bola hai ki Guru mat bano.
Yeah, but if you're not able to save somebody from mrityu, right? But if that person is able to save, that position is the most thing, because it is spiritual life, right, Maharaj?
Well, that is for others to think. For oneself, one is discouraged to become guru or anything. Which position one is encouraged to take?
Oh, among all these, for oneself, personally, you're asking me, Maharaj, or in general?
Yes, for everybody, general, yeah.
I would say Swajana, don't become like a relative or something like that. Because other things, not everybody becomes a father or